A number of points have been raised during the debate I'd like to very briefly respond to. I think a point was made earlier about tactical voting. And why is it that tactical voting is something that we decry and yet parties use it? Well, I think that's just a reality of working within the system that we've got. I'm delighted to have my very good friend, the member for Enfield Southgate, next to me. He and I campaigned together 20 years ago in Enfield Southgate to win that seat for Labour for the first time. And we were absolutely clear in saying to Liberal Democrat voters and Green voters and others, if you want to defeat Michael Portillo, only a Labour vote will count. And it worked. But you shouldn't have a system where you're actively having to encourage that and support that kind of negative style of campaign. I want a system where Liberal Democrats in Enfield Southgate can vote Liberal Democrat. Green voters in those constituencies can vote Green. Labour voters in areas where it's Liberal Democrat versus Conservative can vote Labour. And that, for me, is one of the most powerful arguments in favour of electoral reform, ensuring that the voter, wherever he or she lives, is able to cast their vote by conviction rather than casting their vote on the basis of tactics. And we know all of the parties do this. There is a targeting of a relatively small number of seats, and then within those seats, a targeting of a relatively small number of voters. And all of us in the recent election will have spent time, I'm sure, yes, in our own constituencies, but also campaigning elsewhere, because it's a relatively small number of seats that determines the outcome of an election. I think that is very, very unhealthy for those who are living, the voters who are living in those constituencies that are not then the targets.